Hello, my name's John. These are my Drookian Fen Guard, and you're watching Wargames, Models, and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to the fourth video in this little series. These are the first three Drookian Fen Guard I have created using Sergeant Grawnya from Hell's Last as a basis for the model. I'll leave a link in the description to the videos for each of these models. Today I'm going to be working on the fourth member. I've already pulled a few bits out ready for this. Now, I'm going to do a slightly different position on this one with weapons. I've kind of decided to use the Kasachin arm, which is pointing, and I'm going to combine that with a few bits from the Necromunda Orlok sprues to give them a big hunting knife style thing. So they're going to look more like a scout rather than the previous trooper, which was this one that I did. So I'm just going to jump straight in and start putting bits together. So with this one, I am learning from the previous kits about the heads. Now this head that I've got, that's the first drop of the video, is one of the Orlok heads from Necromunda, and there's not much neck to it. So what I'm thinking of doing, let's put the body together, and then I'll probably be putting some plastic inside to hold where the head's gonna go. Now, with all of my videos in this series and most of my other videos, this is a real-time conversion video, which means that what you see is what you get. This is how long it takes me to put the model together. If I do stop the video, it's because there's either a knock at the door, got to let the dog out, or something like that. Okay, so there is this body in place. And what I meant by there not being much neck, you can see there that if I put this in place, it kind of, okay, it does sit in there, but there is a gap underneath it. But looking at that, I could probably get away with that, and then when I do the green stuff in a later video and do any filling of gaps, I could fill that. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so let's glue together the pointing arm. I've just got to tidy up some of the mould lines on it. Now I am thinking with this one that when I add details in the last video of this series, I'm going to work out how to do, or how to depict the weapon of this character and how it's held. I do have a few kits where there are stowed weapons and things like that, so it may be a case down the line where I use one of those, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, that's that glued. Now, as with most of these ones, I'm just going to have to trim a little bit off here just to see how this sits in place. And with this one, I am going to have to do some filling afterwards. That's okay. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and while that's drying, let's zoom in a little bit for the other arm. So this is a Necromunda Orlok arm holding that big hunting knife, and this is another Kasachin arm from one of the special weapons. And what I want to do is trim down the handle on this one and replace it with the knife itself. So that's nice and easy to start doing. Now I have been thinking while doing these videos of whether I want to trim the legs and adjust them in there. I've kind of decided for now I'm going to not worry with this squad of 5, although it might look a little bit odd with them kind of walking in all the same direction. I think it just... the model costs quite a bit when you buy it separately off eBay and things like that, and I don't want to risk ruining it at the moment. If I can get hold of a few more, it may be something I do in the future if I expand this squad. But again, if you'd like to see me make a full squad, please drop it in the comments. I kind of like the idea of making a squad that people are interested in and doing videos that people are interested in. So yeah, if you'd like to see more, just let me know. I realised I've zoomed in enough to kind of... oops. Let me zoom out a little bit. This makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to let that dry for a little bit while I then go back to the other arm. Yes, as you can see, there's going to be a gap underneath it like that. That's perfect to fill with the green stuff. But I'm going to try and just even this off a little bit, so I can now run some glue around there. And I'm not going to glue the backpack of this one. Which I'm not sure if that's going to work. I'm going to have to do a little bit of sculpting with this one. Where you've got the top of this kind of like cowl, this hood, I'm going to have to try and sculpt something in there just to make it look like it's rucking up underneath the armour. Yeah, that's... yeah, so there's quite a gap on this, which, yeah, will need... and obviously, as there's not much of it holding it together, the little bit of glue I just put in it to even it out has just taken it off, so always be wary of that. Just try and get that fitting in place. There we go. Okay, so there is a gap in there, but I'm not too worried, as it will get filled when sculpting. Likewise with this head. Let me just push this into the base. Now I am thinking that all of the bases I'm going to take off when it comes to doing the details, just so there will be a lot more variation by changing those bases out. The sculpted bases are great, and I'm sure I can use them for something else, but for now I think the squad needs a little bit of variation, as I haven't changed those legs. So that's... yeah, so there is a nice big gap in there that I'm going to have to tweak and adjust. So I like the idea the pose of this character is either pointing towards an objective or an enemy, or alternatively calling someone out, as they're going to be armed with this big old knife, what I want to make sure is on the hand holding the knife, I'm just going to take off the bottom of the handle, the pommel, and going to glue that in place. Joy of working with tiny bits of plastic. Move that along slightly. Yeah, trying to fit something from one model to another when the hands are obviously different sizes can make it a little bit tricky. That's okay. Right, while that is drying, let's put that to one side and then back to the model. Going to trim off some of the shoulder there, and then let's make that nice and even. I have realised I am going to have to do quite a little bit of green sculpting on all of these bit green stuff, but that's okay. I do like the way this little squad's turning out. They're quite a interesting little unit that's starting to appear. Yeah, I will have to do probably a fair bit of sculpting on this one. There we go. Yeah, I will. That's for the other video. So I quite like this one's pose with that big combat knife. Also, having the head turned that far round, even if I compare it with the last one, it does give a different profile to the model, even if they're walking in different directions, in the same direction, sorry. Now the key thing with the backpack on this one, as it's not holding the weapon, I'm going to cut off the power cable, and then I'm not going to worry about gluing this one right now. I'm just going to push it in place, as straight away you can see it's knocked that arm. So let's reposition that arm with the backpack in place, as well as the other one. So yeah, I've got quite a bit of sculpting on this one, but that's okay, that's ready for the next video. But there we go. That is, I'm going to call this guy the Scout for this squad. Going to need to do a little bit of sculpting in the next video, but let's look at him in comparison to the original model. And there you go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video and this series. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate a like or a subscribe. But for now, all I can say is thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.